So, so good evening. Welcome, folks. Um, okay, you know what we're gonna do. So, find your posture, find your heart, just take your cues from the silence. Sense of actually attuning to silence, even if there's noise elsewhere. We don't just infer the silence by the absence of sound. We listen to the silence. And for a little while, pleasantness and unpleasantness, our preferences become incidental. For a little while, the blizzard of details that constitutes your autobiography becomes incidental. For a little while, what you thought you knew also becomes incidental. Just to receive the moment is enough. No projects, no building. You're neither the project manager nor the project. In meditation practice, we stop messing with ourselves. Surrender is the dissolution of volitional energies. To the extent you build anything, let it be love. Otherwise, just receive. Space receiving space. each moment a kind of new opportunity to let go. Our lives, so-called lives, our worries and hopes, and it's kind of gonna take care of itself. We'll win some and lose some. But for now, for these minutes, we're practicing surrendering control, of not medicating this thought and that feeling, and when we emerge, our life will be waiting for us. The same, just a tiny bit different. good to practice with you. Such a wild path. It's sort of like it looks like a labradoodle from the flyers, but it's a tiger, and I love labradoodles. So Dharma is in conversation with science. I think in a increasingly respectful way, meaning that both sides are listening, both sides are learning from each other, and there are a lot of Dharma kind of scientific research people who have a genuine affection for the path and understand it, and that's having its effects. I remember, I think it was 2006. I was a summer research fellow for the Mind and Life, conference, and sort of scientific conference, but then also part retreat, sitting on a zafu, and next to me is just kind of like the eminent researcher Richard Davidson. He's like there, sitting on a zafu next to me. He didn't send one of his 500 research assistants or something to do his sitting. He's there, you know. And the science folks are kind of like taking Dharma concepts, exploring them, bringing in new language and concepts, and then sort of like importing it back to Dharma, and anyway, it's been meaningful for me to consume some of that work. So this is kind of edited from a couple social psychologists, Rich Ryan and Kirk Warren Brown, and shared this over the weekend, but wanted to unpack it. So the authors write, some people are preoccupied with questions of worth and esteem, see their worth as dependent upon reaching certain standards, appearing certain ways, or accomplishing certain goals. The very process of placing oneself in the role of object and then evaluating its worth is a motivated act. Whether such individuals come away with positive or negative conclusions, the very fact that one's esteem is in question suggests a psychological vulnerability. Although self-evaluation is a natural human tendency with both evolutionary and developmental foundations, ongoing concern with the worth of the self is a byproduct of need deprivation or conflict. The salience of self-esteem to a person is a sign of need deficiencies rather than need fulfillment. They go on to say regulation based on mindfulness rather than contingent self-regard associated with healthier and more vital living and provides a basis for acting more authentically. So they say self-evaluation is a natural, human tendency, and it makes sense that in our pursuit of goals, we assess, we sometimes measure. We're not, the teachings on not self, it's not about getting moralistic or idealistic. Remember Ajahn Sumedho saying, like, this is not an idealistic path. The Buddha just spoke about the way things are. And the delusion in the kind of quest for self-esteem, the compulsive measurement and comparison, the delusion is to think that we're going to drive the same self to the goal and arrive and find rest. the very process of placing oneself in the role of object, then evaluating its worth is problematic, they say. Making oneself a kind of object, Matthew, then turning into a kind of spectator. It's a little what I was alluding to in the sit. Spectator and evaluating my worth. What's Matthew's worth? It's painful. And to even have that question, they suggest is a function of psychological vulnerability. And health, by this view, is finding a way to step out of the debate of worthiness and unworthiness entirely, to step out. You enter, you lose. You've already lost. I remember Jack Kornfield saying in a retreat talk to the Sangha something like, you were a child of the Buddha, and was sort of like, never thought of myself that way, but was touched by that. And it was not you're special. It was not like, Matthew, you're the Buddha's favorite child. So ordinary, so ordinary, and of course worthy. We normally link worthy with extraordinary, but I link worthiness with like utter ordinariness. The path moves us towards ordinariness. And that's strange, that the practice makes us feel so ordinary, but that feeling is a blessing. That's a way that we begin to step out of the kind of morass of self-view, the pros and cons. And what I find intriguing here is that the selfing is understood to be a symptom of need deprivation. The selfing is a symptom. The selfing arises out of pain. Normally we talk about self as a cause. Here it's an effect. We normally say the self causes da 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 da. Here it's an effect, and it's the effect of pain, of need deprivation. And in the past, I've suggested that the self is an effect of fear, that fundamental force kind of tied to survival, and just intuitively seems like, we really would not need a self were it not for the brutality of samsara, this realm of gain and loss, birth and death. If there were no pressure to track and integrate threat and opportunity, we wouldn't have to stay so glued together. There's a sense of like, oh yeah, the self is the kind of like intersection of the pressure to act and control. And so we can begin to understand why teachers say the self is done by grasping. Not exactly the self that grasps. The self is done by grasping. And then the question from Brown and Ryan is like, okay, how do we resolve the need deprivation that made self-worth a preoccupation? And there's a kind of like intermediate steps in between self-harshness and forgetting the self. There's a kind of thawing process, uh, so that in a sense, our needs, somehow we find them met, and the question of our worth recedes, becomes more and more incidental. There's a yoga teacher I remember in LA, and when I was living there, and she would say, maybe quoting Iyengar, something like, whatever we'd be in a pose, it would be, I don't know how much yoga is supposed to hurt, but it hurt from the beginning to the end. It hurt good, but it kind of didn't stop hurting. Anyway, she would say, whatever's heavy, make light. Whatever's light, make heavy. And I was just trying to like survive, but I love that line, and I could get it. I could sense like all the places I was heavy, I needed to make light. Places light, make heavy. Whatever is heavy with self, we make light. And the Dharma normalizes our pain at a very deep level, and the shame, begins to, for the wounds, for the needs met and unmet, the shame begins to melt and dissolve, thaw out. We're instructed to align our conduct, right? To live in accordance with our own deepest values. And sila, the ethical conduct, is associated with a certain kind of self-respect, non-regret, certain kind of dignity. Okay, I'm living, I'm not perfectly, but I'm living in accord with what I care about, what I think is worthy of my love. Some dignity in this. And we take refuge, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, take refuge. And the details of our life, they still matter, but more and more they become, that word I came back to a few times in the sit, incidental. And that's not uncaring, but incidental. In the sense of life always happening to me, experience happening to me. Life is just happening. And we look how much self is needed to function, how much self is needed to function. And when is self just kind of expression of some pain, and one just, tends to that pain like a wound. When is it enough just to be a person? So Garfield from the book Losing Ourselves. The self is taken to be pre-existent, primordial, unitary, and transcendent of the world of objects, independent of body, mind, social context. The person is constructed, the person is dependent on the psychophysiological and the social network in which it's realized. The person is complex, embodied, and embedded. That's the difference between the actor and the role. We are roles, not actors. It's enough just to be a person. I can play my part, play my roles without ever having the sense that need to prove who I am. Questions of worth and unworthiness doesn't occur anymore. So I offer this for your consideration. Appreciate the chance to speak with you about this, and yeah, I wish you all well, and maybe see you next week. Okay.